Welcome back, viewers, to the latest researches and news. Today we're tackling a genuinely critical question. If large-scale war breaks out again between Ethiopia and Tigray, will it stay a two-sided conflict, or will other countries be pulled directly into it? The honest answer is that this time the situation looks very different and far more dangerous, because several regional powers now have real interests tied directly to this conflict. Let's break down exactly who's involved and why. The reality is that this round of tension looks substantially different from what came before, mainly because multiple regional players now have direct interests wrapped up in this conflict. Let's go through them one at a time, starting with the most significant. Eritrea has now become the Tigray People's Liberation Front's clearest supporter. This is a complete reversal from the 2020 to 2022 war, when Eritrea fought alongside Abiy Ahmed's government against Tigray. Today, the relationship has flipped entirely. This shift is largely driven by tension between Eritrea and Ethiopia over Abiy Ahmed's reported ambitions toward Red Sea access, specifically the port of Assab. That tension has damaged relations between the two governments considerably. As a result, Eritrea has built an alignment with the Tigray People's Liberation Front, known as SIMDO. According to reports, Eritrean offices have been seen along the Tigray border, and there are also reports of limited heavy weapons movement. If a larger war breaks out, Eritrea could provide logistical support, intelligence, and potentially even direct military assistance to the Tigray People's Liberation Front. Eritrea's core interest is keeping any confrontation as far from its own border as possible, which is exactly why it appears to be using Tigray as a buffer zone. This is genuinely one of the most striking shifts in the entire conflict. The same government that helped Ethiopia's federal forces fight Tigray just a few years ago is now reportedly arming and supporting the opposite side. Eritrea's interest here isn't really about Tigray's cause. Specifically, it's about self-preservation. By keeping the fighting inside Ethiopia and away from its own territory, Eritrea protects itself from direct confrontation while still influencing the outcome through its ally. Sudan, particularly the Sudanese armed forces, has a long-standing relationship with the Tigray People's Liberation Front. Even during the First War, Tigray received support from Sudan. Today, some Tigray People's Liberation Front linked units such as Army 70 are reportedly active in areas near the Sudanese border. Relations between Sudan and Ethiopia are currently strained, largely because Ethiopia has been accused of supporting the Rapid Support Forces in Sudan's own civil war. This makes coordination with the Tigray People's Liberation Front strategically appealing for the Sudanese armed forces. If a larger war breaks out, Sudan could provide the Tigray People's Liberation Front with a rear base, supply lines, and limited support. However, Sudan itself remains deeply entangled in its own civil war, which makes large-scale direct Sudanese involvement in Ethiopia unlikely. This relationship looks a lot like mutual leverage. Ethiopia is accused of backing Sudan's rapid support forces, so Sudan's own military has an incentive to back Ethiopia's opposition in return. Though it's important to separate willingness from ability. Sudan may want to support the Tigray People's Liberation Front, but fighting its own civil war limits how much manpower and resources it can actually commit elsewhere. Egypt's interest here is entirely different from Eritrea's, or Sudan's. Egypt and Ethiopia have a long-running dispute over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and the Nile's water flow. Egypt would prefer to see Abiy Ahmed's government strategically weakened. Because of this, Egypt has drawn considerably closer to Eritrea. Reports also suggest a growing informal understanding developing between Egypt, Eritrea, and Sudan. If a new war breaks out, Egypt is unlikely to send troops directly, but it could offer diplomatic support, intelligence sharing, and possibly indirect military assistance, all aimed at keeping pressure on Abiy Ahmed's government. This is really a case of one conflict being used to influence a completely separate dispute. The Nile water issue has nothing to do with Tigray directly, but a weakened, distracted Ethiopia federal government is strategically useful to Egypt regardless of the reason. An informal understanding between Egypt, Eritrea, and Sudan, three separate countries with three different motives, but a shared interest in pressuring Addis Ababa would represent a meaningful regional alignment against the current Ethiopian government. On the other side, Abiy Ahmed's government appears more likely to receive support from the United Arab Emirates and the Rapid Support Forces. The United Arab Emirates maintains strategic relations with Ethiopia, while the Rapid Support Forces reportedly receive support that passes through Ethiopia. This connects directly to accusations we've already covered, including Fano leader Zemeni Kasse's claims about United Arab Emirates supplied drones being used in Ethiopia, and reports of Turkish-made drone technology acquired by the United Arab Emirates. If the United Arab Emirates is simultaneously supporting the federal government militarily, while also facing accusations of civilian drone strikes, that relationship becomes an increasingly important thread to watch as this conflict develops. If a new war does break out, it likely won't remain a purely Ethiopia-Tigray conflict. It could turn into a genuine regional proxy conflict, structured roughly like this: Eritrea, the Sudanese armed forces, and Egypt appear inclined toward the Tigray People's Liberation Front side. The United Arab Emirates and the Rapid Support Forces appear inclined toward Abiy Ahmed's government and the Ethiopian National Defense Force. What makes this genuinely different from the 2020 to 2022 war is the timing of these alignments. In the earlier conflict, most of this outside involvement developed gradually in reaction to the war as it unfolded. This time, based on everything we've covered, these alignments already appear to be in place before any large-scale renewed war has even started, which is exactly why analysts describe this current tension as potentially more dangerous than the first war. For now, the overall situation remains under control. But any major miscalculation, a strike that goes further than intended, a convoy ambush that escalates faster than expected, or a border incident that pulls in an allied force directly, could potentially drag the wider Horn of Africa into this conflict. This is really the core risk running underneath everything we've covered across our recent videos: the Tekeze River clash, the Shirarina battle, the drone strikes near Mekelle and Indieta, and the reported Eritrean weapons movement. None of these individual incidents are, on their own, proof of a wider regional war, but taken together, with this many outside interests already aligned and positioned, the margin for error before a local incident turns into something much larger appears to be shrinking. So here's the honest picture. This isn't just a story about Ethiopia and Tigray anymore. Eritrea, Sudan, and Egypt all have real reasons to lean toward Tigray's side, while the United Arab Emirates and the Rapid Support Forces appear positioned behind Abiy Ahmed's government. And unlike the last war, these alignments seem to already be in place. The situation remains manageable for now, but the room for a costly miscalculation is real and growing. We'll continue tracking every one of these threads for you as the situation develops. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next update.